And now, it's time for the show that helps you deal more effectively with the Media Survival Guide, starring your host, Dave Tetherman.
Hiya, how you doing? Well, welcome to the big show today. We're going to be giving you some tips on how to deal with the media, as well as giving you a little behind-the-scenes look with the media cam. It's kind of like the monkey cam only with less civilization involved with it. And we'll be taking a little peek with your colleagues, and we'll find out exactly what little tricks they have for tough interview questions and situations. You know, like if you're on Geraldo and you need to bring a hockey mask. So you stick around because we have a special treat. We're going to have our world famous, ever popular top tips list. That'll be right here when we come back. Stick around.
I'd be happy to answer your questions, but first, can you tell me a little bit about your publication?
All right, we have a great show for you. Here to give us some media training basics is Sheila Public. She's from the APHIS home office in Riverdale, Maryland. Sheila, come on out.
Thank you.
Sheila, I understand you're something of an expert on dealing with the media.
I do work in the Legislative and Public Affairs Office for APHIS, so we coordinate all national media calls for the agency.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, we want to put out a consistent message to the public. That's why we would prefer all national media be referred to us.
Okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Do you have any basic tips for us here?
Yeah, I do. The first step is to know who you're talking with. Be sure you identify yourself, but also identify the person asking the questions. Find out who they're working with, who the reporter's working with, what their deadline is, and a phone number where you can reach them. Also, never go off the record.
Are you trying to say here that we should be wary of reporters asking questions?
No, of course not. The media provides the public with important information about what we do. It's our job as representatives of the USDA and APHIS to fully explain the mission of our various services and what we do.
How would you communicate that?
Well, always be professional, courteous, and polite, even if it's a busy day for you. Approach every request for information as an opportunity to tell the APHIS story.
Which is?
Our mission is to protect American agriculture. The health of plants and animals is important to the nation's economy and our food supply.
Well, that's simple and to the point.
It's important to be succinct. Using jargon and technical terms can not only confuse the reporter, but can also make you sound pompous or inaccessible. You should also avoid insensitive terms that misrepresent the program or distract from the mission of the agency.
Such as?
Well, here's an example. If you're discussing the mayfly situation, which has been a major problem in Florida and California, you would say that we've treated the area instead of spraying the area.
I see your point.
I should add that it's important to offer additional information and concrete examples for position or statement. And also, be sure to find out the reporter's deadline so that you can get back to him or her promptly, or at least explain why you couldn't get back to them to meet their deadline.
It's a good point. It's a good point. We've got to go to a break in just a second, but do you have time for one more tip?
Yeah, there's something I'd like to add. Stick to what you know in your own field. If you're asked about subjects outside that area, don't hesitate to refer the reporter to the Legislative and Public Affairs Office or another appropriate source. Now, people can call us at LPA if they need help finding a referral. We also put out press releases, fact sheets, and videos like this one to give field people support when dealing with the media.
Well, it's always nice to have someone in here who's on top of their game. Thanks for being with us, Sheila.
My pleasure.
We're going to be right back with the handy-dandy Media Cam.
Okay, let's see. Our new animal welfare initiative is critical to the community. No, too wordy. How about our efforts to ensure the animals receive proper care? No, that's not going to work.
We're back, and we've got some interesting footage to show you from our behind-the-scenes media cam. So get out your media spectacles here, and let's see what we found. Here's Flora and Fauna. She's getting ready to be interviewed for the local television news from her office at Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. Flora is trying to clear off her desk. Unfortunately, she's wearing a solid white shirt, which won't look good on camera. By the way, neither would a solid black or busy patterns like herringbone, stripes, or polka dots. Just stick with the solids or light blue shirts for you guys. No, wait, what's this? Oh, wow, will you look at that? A dead plant. Now that's not really gonna look too good in the background of the shot, now is it? And what about those animal heads on the wall? The media will have a field day with that image. Please look. Oh, you see, you always need to think about what's going to be in the shot with you and how that will affect your image. By the way, that doesn't usually mean your desktop, but more likely things around you, like on the walls. Now, what is she doing now? What? Oh no. Oh no. Brightly colored makeup, a real no-no for television. Now, I should know. Now, let's see how the same scene looks after a little advice from us on how to prepare for an interview. Now that's much better, don't you agree? She looks professional, calm, and ready to give a good interview. Now, folks, you saw it here first. Some real interview do's and don'ts. Now there are a few others I'd like to mention as well. If you're a guy, don't wear those ankle-length socks. You know, the ones that get rolled down and show your ankles if you're not careful? Right, those. And guys, make sure the socks match. I know it sounds petty, but you know, it can really ruin that image. Also, be sure to get as comfortable as you can before the interview starts. Try and be yourself and don't slouch. It makes you look, well, slouchy. And here's a tip that I can relate to. Review your notes and have 4 or 5 positive statements you've worked on and are comfortable repeating about your program area and APHIS. And whatever happens in the interview, don't say you need to check with headquarters for permission. It just doesn't go over well. Well, have I talked about shifty eye syndrome? It's a natural thing to do, especially if you're tempted to look over at the camera person, but try to avoid it. The result is that you don't look too trustworthy. Look, come on in here. Come on, come on. All right, now watch, here we go. See what I mean? Darn sneaky looking. So, we've got a great guest coming up. You stick around. After these few commercial announcements, we'll be right back.
More coffee, honey?
Thanks. Hey, here's that article about APHIS. And here's your name and a quote. Uh-oh.
What?
Honey, did you actually say this?
Hey, let me see that. This isn't what I said at all. Where'd he come up with this?
That spot cuts very close to home because I myself have often been completely misquoted in interviews, and unfortunately most of those interviews were conducted by myself. Oh, you know what? Before we go to our next guest, I think it's time to review our top tips list. Yeah, you've actually already seen 3 of our tips on interviews, but by gosh, by golly, here are a few more. Okay, are you ready, folks? Here are things to do when preparing for an interview. Number 5, stick to the facts. You're the expert, that's why they called you. Don't just speculate about areas that aren't your expertise, like field hockey. Number 4, be polite. Be polite. Even if the reporter seems pushy to you, and he probably is, be courteous in your answers. Number 3, listen. That's right, listen, folks. Listening is just as important as speaking during an interview, so you can understand the question and be sure to give a good answer. An example of a bad answer because you weren't listening would be, Number 2, keep a positive attitude. In a phone interview, you can even smile, which really comes across in the sound of your voice. Like, hello? Or you could be like, hello. You see what I mean? There's a difference there. For an on-camera interview, keeping an upbeat attitude translates into a well-paced, positive interview. Case in point, Mike Tyson. And the number one thing to do when preparing for an interview, keep the APHIS mission and vision in focus. Yeah, see, you can do that by concentrating on what we do, why, and how we do it. And there are your top tips. Get that out of here. All right, it's time to bring out our next guest, Reggie Roundup. He's from the Wildlife Services office in New York to tell us about his recent experiences with the media when some gulls collide with planes at the airport. Come on out, Reggie Roundup.
Good, thank you.
Have a seat, have a seat. So tell us, how did this collision situation come about?
Well, in the spring, the laughing gulls fly into our area.
Laughing gulls.
Mm-hmm. And their path happens to be right in the path of the planes taking off from the airport.
Uh-oh.
Now, as a result, a number of the gulls got sucked into the plane's engines, causing a potential safety hazard.
Sure.
Plus, they slowed up air traffic, and they caused millions of dollars in damage to some planes.
That sounds like a mess. So what did you do?
Well, we had to develop a plan to move some of the gulls to another area, and we had to eliminate some of them, which, of course, became a big media problem.
Well, I'm sure. I bet there were animal activists and airport officials clashing over that issue.
Mm-hmm. There sure were. So I was the lucky one who had to be interviewed for a news story about our plans. And I needed to be very careful about how I presented our case, so the public was clear about our mission and goals.
So what kind of things did you do to prepare for that experience?
Well, I had to rehearse some of my answers, with my colleagues. And I made sure to unlock.
Unlock?
Making sure my hands and body are relaxed without slouching.
Yeah, right, okay, well, that's good for you.
And I was sure I got there early, so I could settle in, review my notes,
A good idea, good idea. So you have some footage for us to see, right?
I sure do, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Hal, can we roll that tape, Hal?
This is News Channel 3 at the airport with Reggie Roundup of the Animal Plant Health Inspection Service. Reggie, what's being done with the gull problem at the airport?
We've been working very hard together with airport officials to make sure the passengers remain safe. Now, APHIS recommends and the airport uses several methods to keep gulls off the runway. These include habitat modification, the removal of food and water sources from the airport, and the use of repelling techniques.
How did APHIS get involved?
The Port Authority requested our assistance in reducing the chance for birds to collide with aircraft over the airport.
All right, that was good. That was good. Starting out with something positive.
Mm-hmm. Right. You need to prepare a few positive statements in advance, just as your guest Sheila said earlier, so you can remember them when asked.
Okay, well, let's see some more, all right? Let's take a look at some more here.
Why do you insist on killing the gulls? It seems like there must be a better way.
One of our jobs at Wildlife Services is maintaining a balance between protecting wildlife and the safety of individuals.
What about the methods you mentioned before?
There are times when the solutions I mentioned before aren't effective. Now, APHIS is mandated by federal law to provide damage control services to state and local governments, to other federal agencies, and to the general public. We place a very high priority on making sure the skies remain safe. Now, these are some of the steps we're going to be taking in the next couple of days to make sure that happens.
Okay, I see what you were doing there. I see. You avoided reacting to a negative question. Way to go, solution man.
Right, I turned it into a positive about how Wildlife Services has taken active steps to solve a community problem.
And I like how you kept that good solid eye contact with the interviewer at all times.
It's critical. Otherwise, you come across as nervous or even untrustworthy.
I'll keep that in mind. Okay, well, I'm afraid that's all the time we've got. Now, if anyone has any questions, I think my producers have a number that we can call. Who's got that number? Where you at? David, thank you very much. That's that high-quality college help that we're getting these days. Contact Legislative and Public Affairs for a printed media survival kit or get information about media training courses. Stick around. Here you go, kids. This is the number. It's 301-734-7799. 301-734-7799. We want to thank you for being with us right here, right now for the Media Survival Guide. Good night.